Throw left side, big hit put on by Tyrann Mathieu for a loss.
He sniffed it out, and then he came up and he made a vicious hit.
Corey Davis made the catch on the shallow cross and then felt the wrath of the Honey Badger.
That flip, one of the more memorable defensive plays from yesterday, and there's a backstory to it that Tyrann Mathieu pointed out after the game on Twitter. It turns out that the Patriots ran that same play on them in Week 14 and almost scored on it. He says that he knew it would show up again, and this time he was ready for it. And you know what they say, if you ball, you get the call. Well, Tyrann, it's prime calling.
Although the offense did what they did, the defense is the one who answered the bell, stopping Derrick Henry.
You know what? I tried to come in here, man, and just lead these guys. I just tried to be myself, coming up under guys like Pat P, man. I felt like, this was my opportunity. This was the next challenge for me. And, a lot of these guys around me believe in me as well. And I just try to transfer that same energy to them and, in hopes that they could believe in themselves as well. And a lot of those guys bought in, and I'm happy for them.
So many weapons on that offense, but everybody's happy, everybody's accountable, and you guys are winning.
You know what? We got a good locker room, Prime. It's not no egos. We don't have a lot of egos. And, we just have a lot of guys that want to work hard. And we got a lot of guys that want to be great at what they do. I think 15 represents that. I always talk about his age and his youth. And for him to be that composed, for him to be that collected, for him to lead a football team, a football franchise at that age is hard to do. And I think a lot of people aren't looking at it like that. But he's special. I'm happy to be on his team. There's no doubt in my mind he's the best player in the National Football League.
Less friendly conversation between DBs yesterday on Twitter had Darrelle Revis calling out Richard Sherman with a shot of him getting beat by Davante Adams in the game. He says the fact that he doesn't travel as a cornerback is lame. Accept the challenge and shut Adams down. He says stop hiding in a cover 3 zone. So Sherm's going to respond to that. And he did. Quote, I would go in on this has-been, but I have a Super Bowl to prepare for. Enjoy the view from the couch. Your 9th year looked a lot different than this. So I think we've got ourselves a good old-fashioned Twitter beef. D. Hall, Steve Smith both know a thing or two about trash talking. Where do we stand on this one, guys?
Thank you, Lindsay. Steve, what's up, man? I got a lot to talk to you about. First, I want to start with this whole Richard Sherman, Darrelle Revis beef. Not even really beef, but just a difference of opinion. And I want to kind of interject my opinion in this conversation because, I've had a little bit of back and forth with Richard Sherman, too. And, I'm not knocking Richard Sherman by any means, and I'm not siding with Darrelle Revis. But as a corner who was one of the original guys who traveled, and because, heck, I was traveling when you were in Carolina and I was in Atlanta having to cover you, it's a mindset that goes into traveling as a corner. And tell me how you feel about it, because I got a lot to talk about, but I'm going to let you lead it off.
Well, first of all, this is one of many reasons why I don't have social media anymore, because when you have this Twitter beef going back and forth, social media, you got one guy winning the game, going to the Super Bowl in Santa Clara. Then you have another gentleman who's probably who is arguably one of the best of his time as well, Darrelle Revis. I've went against, obviously, you, like you stated, and other Darrelle Revis and Richard Sherman. They both have given me fits. They kept me up at night. They have made me study a ton of film watching them, because just like you, watching them, because it's necessary. You don't go into the game not knowing everything about them. To say who's better or who shouldn't or should do this, man, let's just bask in the glory that Richard Sherman is going back to the Super Bowl with the San Francisco 49ers.
I take this conversation so personally because, it's the reason a lot of guys don't get the respect as a corner who travels, who covers, because you will get beat from time to time, but it's how you respond to those, because
absolutely.
I've gotten beat several times, but I tried to go out and make plays right back. And so when I saw Richard Sherman get beat by Davante Adams, I was almost like, oh, okay, let's see what's going on here, because that didn't look like the Sherman who we saw in previous weeks.
But also, too, to come at Richard Sherman and say that he's not one of the best because he doesn't travel or he doesn't this. You say you want me to cut to the chase? Man, y'all got rich man problems, bro. At the end of the day, right, you guys are getting paid a lot of money to cover. I understand and I get it. However, at the end of the day, Richard Sherman obviously is doing something right.
Yeah.
He's come back from a torn Achilles that we both know is hard to do. He's playing at a high level where high level in this regard, people are nervous. People don't come at him every play, a la like maybe a Xavier Rose. 85% of the time, people are throwing the ball. It is a reception. So you got to kind of look at it and go, he must be doing something right.
Hey,
look where they are.
You're absolutely right, Steve. And so pushing forward a little bit, they got Kansas City coming. All right, this is the Super Bowl. This is speed on speed on speed on speed.
Yes.
What do you think is going to happen to this 49ers secondary if that rush does not get home from the Niners?
Keep your eyes on your luggage. Understand what's going on. Don't let Tariq Hill, don't let Sammy Watkins, don't let Mecole Hardman, don't let anybody in the red colored jersey get
Kelsey.
beyond you. All I want to know, does the Hard Rock Stadium have enough fireworks? Because it's going to be points after points after points being scored. They ran out of fireworks in Kansas City, so you need to go. I would say this is easily could be a 105-point scoring game.
All right. Well, y'all heard it here first. Eastern said it's going to be fireworks down in South Beach. Lindsay, back to you.
Something tells me that they will be fully prepared in the fireworks department for this game that has the potential to be pretty high scoring. Mahomes having thrown 70 passes so far in the playoffs this year, 8 of which went the distance, and none of which have ended up in the opponent's hands. He didn't throw any picks last year in the playoffs either, but he didn't make the Super Bowl this year, second straight AFC Championship, and he gets the win. And for more on that, James Palmer is with the Chiefs in Kansas City.
After the Chiefs lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game a year ago, they made dramatic changes on the defensive side of the ball. First, changing coordinators and bringing in Steve Spagnuolo. Spagnuolo pretty much demanded that Tyrann Mathieu come in and run his defense. General Manager Brett Veach made that happen, and in turn, it changed the culture and the way this defense plays. Now, it took time for them to turn around, but everybody remained patient, and now they're playing their best football of the season. On the other side of the ball, Patrick Mahomes, not just the healthiest he's been all year, but changed things in the bye week in week 12. He thought he was drifting too much in the pocket, hanging his offensive line out to dry. He made dramatic changes in his self-scouting evaluations that have changed this offense. And players have told me they believe this offense right now is the best thing that they have ever been a part of. Now let's go to Santa Clara and send it to MJ Acosta.
Thanks, James. We could still feel that NFC Championship energy when we got to Levi Stadium this morning. Actually, the confetti was still out on the field. But one of the biggest moments, the biggest storylines of the night was definitely Raheem Mostert. I spoke with him after the game, and he told me, MJ, I told you we'd do it. This is what we're destined for. But we have to remember that Raheem is on his 7th NFL team. He's certainly not a new kid on the block. He's been working for this, and for that moment to be able to contribute to a winning team, a team that certainly appreciates him. But just as much as the team was celebrating last night's win, they also told me, listen, we're shifting very quickly to the Chiefs and to the Super Bowl. There's not a moment to waste here. They have to stay locked in. And as the players told me, it's all about the Super Bowl and all about Miami.
Also out of Santa Clara, I know a lot of you are wondering about Tevin Coleman, who left the game yesterday with a shoulder injury. We're going to be watching that injury closely for the next couple of weeks. Kyle Shanahan says that the shoulder was dislocated. He says he doesn't know what the status will be for the Super Bowl, that they're waiting on tests and imaging results. So that is a situation that we will continue to track. In the meantime, the rest of the talent on this team, there's a lot of it, guys. 5 first-round picks on their defensive line alone, all of which have at least 3 sacks this season. And that is also a storyline we'll be talking about for the next couple of weeks. Dee Ford in particular, his impact on that group, massive. And Sean, you played on a team with a pretty good pass rush as well, so you know how important that can be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember people were questioning Ernie Accorsi. Why did you draft Justin Tuck in the 3rd round when you already had Osi Umenyiora and Michael Strahan? The answer, Super Bowl 42. Tom Coughlin started the meeting off and said, we have to hit Tom Brady. I want to knock him down on the ground. Well, they did just that. They had a NASCAR package that Steve Spagnuolo created, and it was for 3rd down and passing situations. They brought Justin Tuck on the field, put him inside, and they got after Tom Brady. Sacked him 5 times in that game, hit him 9 other times. He was frustrated. The offensive line was frustrated. I see that same front in the 49ers. Look at John Lynch. How did he win a Super Bowl down in Tampa Bay? They had the best defense in the league that year. They got after the quarterback. He's doing the same thing with this 49ers rush, and it's Nick Bosa, it's Eric Armstead, who doesn't get talked about as much, even though he has 12 sacks, and Dee Ford. Dee Ford is the guy that moves inside, just like Justin Tuck did. So this defense is built to get after the quarterback. The question is, can you keep the game close enough to where that's a factor?
Well, and the Niners offense, right? There are some questions about that. We saw them run the heck out of the ball yesterday. Jimmy Garoppolo only with 8 passing attempts. So inevitably, we're going to hear for the next couple of weeks whether or not Jimmy Garoppolo can get it done. If they fall into a hole, can he get them back into a game? What do you think?
Well, look, from watching Jimmy G toward the back end of this season, you know, I had questions as well. Can Jimmy G really do it? Can he do it? You know, I think a lot of people steer the conversation because he only threw the ball 8 times. They make it as though, oh, Jimmy, you know, we don't want Jimmy G to throw the football. This isn't Ryan Tannehill and the Tennessee Titans offense, okay? Kyle Shanahan decided to run the football because they were extremely successful running the football.
Why stop?
He did whatever was going to work on that particular day. But if you watch Jimmy G, if this thing gets into a shootout, you know, I just go back to, you know, watching him versus Drew Brees, you know, one of the ultimate quarterbacks in that duel of back and forth down in New Orleans. And it was that moment right there, me seeing the connection with Emmanuel Sanders, me seeing some of these other guys, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, just the way they were using some of these guys. I thought to myself, Jimmy G is ready. He is absolutely ready. He can go throw for throw with anybody. If you can go throw for throw with Drew Brees, trust me, you can go throw for throw with anybody in the National Football League. And so I got supreme confidence in this 49ers team and this offense that they're going to be able to just do what works for them at that particular moment. And if it's throwing the ball 30 to 40 times with Jimmy G, or if it's handing the ball off 30 to 40 times, Kyle Shanahan is going to win football games.
Kyle Shanahan's done a great job this year, and I can't wait to talk about that for the next couple of weeks, along with Andy Reid in that coaching matchup. It's going to be a fun Super Bowl. So this year at NFL Honors, we've got a new award that we're going to see handed out. Microsoft Surface and the NFL have launched the first ever Anything But Ordinary Player of the Year Award at NFL Honors, which celebrates NFL player passions off the field. As players continue to empower themselves through innovation, the award will honor those players making names for themselves in areas of entrepreneurship. Travis Kelce cracks me up in this video. Technology, creativity, and literary art. And you can help name the winner for a chance to be a winner, too. All you have to do is visit anythingbutordinaryaward.com and vote for this year's NFL Honors Anything But Ordinary Player of the Year, presented by Microsoft Surface. And if you share your vote on social media, you can get a chance to win a trip for 2 to Super Bowl 54. Join us there. Voting is open right now, and it ends January 20th, which is actually today, which is Martin Luther King Day. And it is an important day on our calendar that calls our attention to the work that King did to move the civil rights movement forward. It's a day on which we've seen a lot of his quotes pop up on social media from players and teams around the league, honoring his legacy by remembering his words, fitting for his time and for our time as well. And we'll be right back.